in light of National Mental Health Month and it also being the mental health being the focus of Waterman Wellbeing, I thought we could have a conversation about what we do in our personal lives to look after our mental health. So Dale, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, sure. Well, for me, probably, I didn't even think it was that big of a deal for a long time, because I'd seen it happening to other people, and to be honest, at the time, being much younger, I was just like, okay, it's obviously quite weak to be going through difficult times, until I kind of, well, not discovered anxiety, but kind of felt it for the first time and started feeling quite anxious and not knowing what to do. And it was at that time where I was like, man, I need to do something about this, and got some help and got some good people to speak into my life. And it was probably one of the things that I'd noticed was I wasn't exercising as much, and not so much exercising on my own, but being around other people. I'd grown up playing team sport, and I'd prioritised a lot of other things, and I hadn't prioritised actually being around other people. And for me, who is recharged by being around other people, I'm a verbal processor, I love encouraging other people, I love being encouraged myself. I just went and joined a local basketball team and started playing basketball again, and realised it wasn't so much about the competitive side of things, but it was actually about being around other people and just that camaraderie and having other people. And I didn't always, which was weird for a social person like myself, I didn't want to be around other people, but being able to play sport enabled me to be around others without having the pressure of kind of having to perform, as it were, in a social environment or something like that. How about you, Joel?
If we're honest, we all have moments where, we feel really high, high on life, high on emotion, and then there are times where we actually go and we slump down and we actually feel low. And it's almost like, life isn't meant to be travelled at sort of this horizontal sort of like, straight line, but actually it's the lows that we actually experience which actually help us really feel the highs. Otherwise, running at neutral, you'd probably call that numb, wouldn't you? I think I've never realised the importance of like campaigns like Are You OK Day, and until you actually, it actually touches your own family and your own life. It's about asking the question and enabling yourself to be vulnerable. When you're in a moment where you're feeling low and you're like, gee, I really wish I had someone to talk to right now. It was almost like, I've heard you say, be what you need for someone else. And so it's almost like for you to be able to sort of go, okay, I feel like I really would love to be able to chat to someone. Pick up the phone and sort of go, you know what, I'm going to be what I need. I want to be that for Bob or for Fred, and I'm going to call Bob and Fred and just talk to them and start to open up. And then who knows how that feeds into your situation, and suddenly you're putting yourself where you've made the first move.
That vulnerability piece, I think, is huge, because for me, over the last couple of years, and it didn't, similar to Dale, like I grew up in Cairo, like mental health wasn't really, I didn't even know what that meant when I came over as a young man. I'd never heard that term before. So it was all new for me as I was sort of growing up in that environment. And I hadn't really felt like I'd experienced it until sort of I got a little bit older and the pressures of life started to really take over. And there were a lot of balls in the air, so to speak, and I was starting to drop some, and then I was starting to feel the pressure of that. And over the last couple of years, having 2 or 3 really, really close friends who I feel I can be pretty much completely vulnerable with. I can tell them the lowest moments and the highest moments, and I feel completely comfortable to do that. I feel like a lot of that angst came from not having a safe place to take it, not feeling like I could actually express these emotions without being judged or without being misunderstood, or somebody who could safely take that lightning and actually earth it, you know what I mean? And having that support network means that I can go about my day knowing that if I was ever in that position where I needed it, it would instantly kick in, and it has many, many, many times over the last few years, and for that I'm eternally grateful. another thing for me is just going for walks, which sounds so simple, but I go for walks through places that are away from cars as far as I can, like into the forest if I can, and I don't use music. I'll listen to the birds and the crunching of the gravel under my feet and all that kind of stuff, and it will bring to mind all of the things that I sort of suppress throughout the day because it's busy and my phone's ringing and whatever, and I end up beginning to deal with those things. When I'm sitting in front of the TV and watching it, all it does is put a pause button on this giant list of things that are stressing me. But when I actually start to walk, naturally that process begins to bring things front of mind, and I get to, in a healthy, natural, safe, beautiful environment, process those things, and I walk out of that forest lighter than I walked in.
I noticed like the common theme with each of us is a really core part of taking care of our mental health is the people we surround ourselves with. Yep. And it's like that is just as important as like you taking the initiative yourself to, rest. So for me, one of my core practices for taking care of my mental health is rest. So I think we were talking about it the other day, how it's so important to recognise the difference between rest and like relaxing. So I could feel relaxed if I'm like staying home, watching a movie, getting takeout, and I could do that for hours, but I wouldn't feel rested. I would, it's just relaxed. So rest for me is like, it's like truly refueling, where like drawing my energy again. And what that looks like for me is very holistic. It's everything from like what I eat, how I move my body through like dance and exercise. It's the quality time that I have with people that I love. It's like hiking, it's walking, it's reading a book, and it's also like going to bed early and getting a good night's sleep. And I'm such an advocate for that because I used to like excuse myself and go, oh, I can't go to sleep early because I've got to do all these things. When I began to like challenge that thinking and go, hang on, I need to get to bed early to get a good night's sleep so that I can do all those other things. It's like now I can not only pour out of a full cup, but out of a cup that's overflowing,
As you were thinking about, hey, people are alone, they don't know who to talk to, things like that, and it's great having a network, having close relationship, friends, family. If you don't have those things, I mean, one of the things that I love about Waterman is that we prioritise this. We don't ever want there to be any Waterman member who is in a place where they feel like they don't have anyone around them, and hence part of our role, like the priority of our role is actually to be there for people who are going through something, and no judgment, no strings attached, but just someone who can listen, encourage, whatever we can do to help.
Saw this cartoon just a couple of weeks ago. It's a drawing of, I think, Winnie the Pooh and Piglet, and Piglet's asking Pooh, what's the bravest thing that you've ever said? And there's just a little speech bubble that comes up and he says, help.
Sometimes it can be countercultural in a business world, in a business context, because suddenly, help looks like I'm not capable. So it's really profound that you mentioned help. It's actually, the business term of help is collaboration.
I think for anyone who's like watching this conversation right now, it's so important for our community to know that that's what we're here for. Like, please come and reach out, because like we want to be here with you. We want to do life with you.
We're better together. That's the whole point.